Welcome back to Crafted Entrepreneur. So today I'm actually going to give you a little taste of what it's like to be inside of Game Changers Coaching Academy. So I started Game Changers just a few months ago because I really wanted to work with people in the coaching industry. So if you're an expert in any way, I consider you a coach. And I wanted to help you make a lot of money, have better offers, and make money through video, specifically on social media. And so every week I coach people live. We're inside of a Slack community where you get instant feedback on your social media posts, your sales pages, your offers, all of the things. Like, it is truly a game changer, which is why I called it that. It's exactly what I wished I would have had. When was it, like 9 years ago, when I took my first certification to become a life coach. And it was like a lot of learning about leadership, and I don't know, it taught me a lot, but I don't even really use any of that stuff. And the thing that it was lacking was anything around how to actually get clients as a coach. And some of the best coaches I know don't even market themselves online because they have a really good referral base. But you want to be able to create a social media presence to attract people to you all the time. It's on a weekly basis. I get people that say, "Oh my gosh, I binged your stuff. I found you on your podcast. I binged your podcast. I went to your social media and then I filled out an application to work with you. Like, I had to work with you. I just knew you were the person to help me get to the next level." I want all of you guys that are also experts in your industry to have that same type of conversion. And so that's what I'm teaching inside of Game Coachers. That's what I'm teaching inside of the Game Changing Coaching Academy. All right. So here's the thing. And the number one thing that happens week 6 inside of Game Changers is you need to understand how to be really good at sales. I know there's gurus out there that say, like, I don't even have to sell, but all of us are selling something. We're selling our story. We're selling our opinion. We're selling our ideas all of the time. And if you're on social media, you're really selling your lifestyle, right? So number one, in order to create just sales on a regular basis, is you want to have a solid brand. Who are you and how do you make people feel? Because that's ultimately what a brand is. Your brand is not a logo. Your brand is not some pretty photos put up on a website, that are telling people what you do. Your brand is exactly how you make people feel. And so think about that for you. How do you want people to feel when they experience you? For me, I always want people to feel inspired, empowered, and I want them to feel a little sense of urgency. Like, I got to go take action right now on that thing that I've been thinking about for far too long. So people know my brand as, like, I'm going to give you that, like, swift kick in the butt that you need in order to go after your dreams. I'm like your big sister in that way. So that's number one, is be very clear on how you want to make people feel. Number 2 is, in order to make a lot of sales, you need to constantly be listening to what your audience is telling you. So listen actively. What does that mean on social media? Be in conversation with people. You're not too good for the DMs. I love a good mini chat. You know this. If you're on my podcast and you follow me on social media, I love a good mini chat flow. Like, I am here for it, but I don't use it for every single post. And I never use it in my stories because I want to always have a pulse on what my audience is saying. The only time I ever experienced a decline in my business sales was when I had way too many people working for me and I had somebody doing everything and all I was doing was showing up and coaching. And I lost a pulse on what people were actually struggling with and what they actually wanted from me. And so I'm so thankful for that time, because now I take 1 to 2 hours a day and I'm in my DMs. That is the most profitable place for most of us to be, is listening actively in our DMs. What are they struggling with? Why aren't they taking action? What is it that they truly want inside of their business? Maybe you're a health coach. What is it that they really need? Is it to fit in their skinny jeans? That's so 2010. Okay, people don't care about that anymore. They care more about living and aging youthfully. We want to feel good all the time. We don't care as much about skinny jeans anymore. Okay, so listen actively in your DMs. You're never too good for it. I saw a reel that Pace Morby did. He's in the real estate industry, and he said he wakes up every morning at 3 a.m. to spend hours in his DMs. He personally responds to every person. And that inspired me so much because it's like, I want to be the person in my DMs too. And so I completely handle that now. And it's really helped me create better copy, create better podcasts for you, and create better content inside of my paid programs. The next thing you need to do, if you want to have just game-changing sales, you want to make money in your sleep from your social media, is you always want to be showing your value, okay? And you need to show high perceived value. I'm going to use this as an example. If I'm a health coach, high perceived value is not, hey, count your macros in order to, be healthy and lean. That is so vanilla, basic information. I can find that anywhere. Like anywhere, and everybody is saying that. So it's very low value information because it's something that's been said everywhere. Every health coach talks about it, okay? Now, how do you create the high perceived value? Well, if I'm a health coach that's also, interested in macros, and I know my ideal client is a mom that has 3 kids, because maybe I'm thinking it's a former version of me. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a freemium that includes macro-friendly dinners that even your kids will eat. And I'm going to get them to opt in to this macro-friendly recipes that even your kids will eat. And I know this is like a hot person. Like this is somebody that's like maybe potentially going to buy from me because they are an ideal client. But you spoke directly to their need, because if I'm a mom of 3 and I'm interested in staying lean and healthy, my biggest concern around following macros is like, I got to make 2 dinners. I got to make one for me, and I got to make one for the kids, and like maybe even a third one for my husband, depending on what's happening. So if you could be the person that's making it really easy for their entire family to follow this and give them recipes that they love, yay. You might be going, well, Cayla, I'm not somebody that's going to make recipes. Well, then you got to get creative. Like, what else do you bring to the table that helps them see a very high perceived value that they don't think they can get anywhere else? I remember when I was a health coach back 13 years ago, I started being a health coach. But 10 years ago, I was creating recipes for people because I realized like, hey, I might not really enjoy cooking all the time. Back then I was dairy-free. Gluten-free, and grain-free is what we followed at home because my kids had a bunch of skin issues. And I wasn't like, oh, this brings me so much joy in life. But I was like, well, I got to do it for my kids. I love them. It's helping me be healthy, and, maybe other people want to learn this too. So I got good at creating recipes. I hired a food photographer. I hired a dietitian to help me with all the nutrition facts, and I did it. It wasn't because I loved doing it. It was because it was something that I needed at the moment. And that's what helped the Cayla Craft brand blow up back then. My first viral video was making bone broth, and I had little chicken feet out there, and people loved it. And that really set me on a new trajectory. And if I would have been like, oh, but I don't want to do that. I always think about that. Like, where would I be today had I not had that viral video years ago, making that bone broth, but I did it because my family needed it, and I shared it because I knew other families needed it too. So sometimes you got to do that hard thing that may not be the sexy thing for you, but get help. Like I said, hired a dietitian. And it really helped me dial in everything. And I used other people's expertise to grow my brand. And really now I'm so thankful for that moment. Okay. So in order to have sales, be that person that gives a lot of value. Don't be afraid to give too much value. So if I am giving out that recipe, I used to give out all the recipes for free. I didn't make people buy recipes from me, because what they would do is they would use the recipes and then they'd go, oh my gosh, I want to hire Cayla as a health coach. And so that's where I ended up making money on the back end, was because I gave away all these things that were already made. They didn't take my time, gave them away for free. So think about what you can give out there and then have something on the back end to make money from it. Maybe you have an Amazon storefront, a like to know it shop where you're sharing certain things that you love and that help you. And the last thing I'm going to say about sales is you have to constantly remind people how to work with you. So have a flow on your stories daily of how people can work with you. Because if you're out there putting out reels and TikToks and Facebook posts, and people are seeing the forefront of who you are in your business and kind of a little bit about what you're about, right? They see that value. They need to then know, okay, if I wanted more from her, how could I get more from her? And so be sharing that. Repetition is hypnotic. You guys need to write that down. Repetition is hypnotic. So the more you say something, the more likely people are to take action on it. I actually did an experiment last week, okay? And I did this for my game changers. I did it on my own brand. Just prove that it was a catastrophe, okay? One day I was posting in my stories about how to work with me one-on-one. And I told people to DM me a certain word if they were interested in this offer I had that was exclusive for 24 hours only to work with me one-on-one. And I just got bombarded. Boom. I literally had to take the post down because I was getting overwhelmed. And remember I told you I respond to all my own DMs now. So I just took it down. I was like, okay. And then the second day, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a story flow that's all around something completely random. Something that I haven't talked about in a long time, no warm up, nothing. No value was given ahead of time. People are this is coming out of left field, okay? And I started talking about a podcast, group coaching thing. And I did still get a couple of responses, but I did have several people that reached out to me and they're just like, Cayla, I'm confused because I was really interested in working with you one-on-one. What is this thing? Is this the same thing as Game Changers? Is this? I'm like, oh, it proves my point, okay, that we need to stay in repetition. So don't just put something out there on a Tuesday and by Friday, if you have no sales, go, oh, it didn't work. No, go back to your marketing. Say, okay, if I got no bites from that story flow, I'm not going to repeat that story flow. I'm going to change it up and figure out a way that's going to get people to bite. Remember, we're always looking for feedback here. All right. So always be selling in your stories. Be extremely strategic about what you're putting out there. I used to, back in the day, I feel like I don't remember timelines. But when stories first launched on social media, maybe it was 2017, 2016. I don't know. Somebody could tell me in the comments, okay? But I used to post everything. I'd have 20 slides a day. I'd be like, here's what's happening with the kids. Here's what's happening in my business, and boom, boom, boom. And people loved it. It was like a reality show. But listen, that day and age is gone. There are so many influencers on there. People, I feel are kind of overwhelmed with all the white noise and too much information. If you want to stand out as an authority and truly an expert in your industry, you need to think about stuff ahead of time and strategically post. So if this looks like for you, maybe even just the day before, figuring out, okay, what are my stories going to be tomorrow? How am I going to lay them out? How am I going to tell the story so I can get people to bite on what I'm selling them? So you could still show parts of your life, things that you're doing, but how does it tie into the story of what you are selling them that day? That's extremely important. I mean, if you just take that one tip right there from this podcast episode and implement it, you're going to make a lot of money. I promise you. Okay. So this was a little snippet of what it's like to just be coached by me inside of Game Changers. It's a little off the cuff, but it's so fun to really help people start to think differently about the possibilities in their business, help them be more strategic. Once you start to get some wins in your coaching business and you get a couple clients from social media, you start to rinse and repeat things that work. You go, okay, this type of language worked, this type of story worked, this type of graphic worked, this type of video imagery worked. And then you just go and make more of it, go and do it again, get better and better at it, and you end up making more and more money. All right. So if you're interested in Game Changers, remember you can go into the show notes. You can click on the link. You can also go to Instagram and DM me the word Game Changers, and really only do this if you're like, Cayla, I want to invest in myself. Just tell me a little bit more. Tell me about your goals. Don't DM me Game Changers if you're not going to respond back to me, because I've seen a couple people do that. I'm like, that is so annoying. Do it. Take action and keep following through on that. All right. So enjoy this episode. Listen to it again, take notes, and go and take action on the things that we talked about.